regime aids and protects terrorists, including members of Al-Qaeda.
But it wouldn't be disappointing, would it, if there were no weapons there?
We know for a fact that there are weapons there.
We continue to watch Iraq's involvement in terrorist activities.
Simply stated, there is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction. There is no doubt that he is amassing them to use against our friends, against our allies, and against us.
What I want to bring to your attention today is the potentially much more sinister nexus between Iraq and the Al-Qaeda terrorist network.
The Iraqi regime was required to destroy its weapons of mass destruction, to cease all development of such weapons, and to stop all support for terrorist groups. The Iraqi regime has violated all of those obligations. It possesses and produces chemical and biological weapons. It is seeking nuclear weapons.
I picked up a newspaper today, and I couldn't believe it. I read 8 headlines that talked about chaos, violence, unrest, and it just was henny penny, the sky is falling.
Iraq has stockpiled biological and chemical weapons and is rebuilding the facilities used to make more of those weapons.
What is, I think, reasonably certain is the idea that it would take several 100,000 U.S. forces, I think, is far from the mark.
We know that the regime has produced thousands of tons of chemical agents, including mustard gas, sarin nerve gas, VX nerve gas.
It's hard to conceive that it would take more forces to provide stability in post-Saddam Iraq than it would take to conduct the war itself and to secure the surrender of Saddam's security forces and his army. Hard to imagine.
We've also discovered through intelligence that Iraq has a growing fleet of manned and unmanned aerial vehicles that could be used to disperse chemical or biological weapons across broad areas. We're concerned that Iraq is exploring ways of using these UAVs for missions targeting the United States.
We have a limited problem of some bitter enders, some small remnants of the old regime who are using professional military tactics to attack and kill our soldiers, as they did this morning.
So you don't think this is a coordinated campaign? You don't believe this is a guerrilla war, that suddenly we moved into a phase of guerrilla war?
Intelligence gathered by this and other governments leaves no doubt that the Iraqi regime continues to possess and conceal some of the most lethal weapons ever devised.
There's nothing like an army or a major large elements of hundreds of people trying to overthrow or to change the situation.
Our intelligence officials estimate that Saddam Hussein had the materials to produce as much as 500 tons of sarin, mustard, and VX nerve agent. In such quantities, these chemical agents could also kill untold thousands.
The level of activity that we see today from a military standpoint, I think, will clearly decline. I think they're in the last throes, if you will, of the insurgency.
The area in the south and the west and the north that coalition forces control is substantial. It happens not to be the area where weapons of mass destruction were dispersed. We know where they are. They're in the area around Tikrit and Baghdad and east, west, south, and north somewhat.
Vice President Cheney, of course, takes many of the same positions that Secretary Rumsfeld did on the war. Does he still have your complete confidence?
Yes, he does.
Do you expect him to stay to
the campaign is over.
Term?
Yes, he does.
And he'll be here for the remainder of your term?
I have since gone to the dictionary, and I have looked up several things, one of which I can't immediately recapture, but one was guerrilla war, another was insurgency, another was unconventional war. Pardon me?
Quagmire?
No, that's someone else's business, quagmires. I don't do quagmires.
We will bring to the Iraqi people food and medicines and supplies and freedom.